Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randy Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
Winners and losers of the new House Republican plan to repeal and replace Obamacare. In fact, we're going to take a closer look at this with a county-level analysis from the Kaiser Family Foundation and overlay it with a little politics, starting with Clark County, Nevada, home to Las Vegas. Clinton, by the way, carried the county with 52% of the vote. Under the Obamacare, ACA, a 60-year-old making $40,000 a year qualifies for a federal subsidy of $4,380 per year for a mid-level insurance plan. Under the proposed House Republican plan, they would just get a flat credit of $4,000, which means they'd have to find another $380 more per year out of their own pockets. Now, let's move over to rural Northumberland County, Pennsylvania. Donald Trump won this county with 69% of the vote. With Obamacare, the same 60-year-old qualifies for a subsidy of, ready for this, $11,150. With this new House Republican plan, he or she would get just $4,000.
You're fired.
That same $4,000 tax credit, which means they'd have to dig out more than $7,000 out of their own pocket to pay for additional coverage.
You're fired.
Let's look at 81% of the counties that voted for Hillary Clinton overall. In fact, a 60-year-old making $40,000 a year would see their subsidy decline overall. The same would be true in 93% of the counties carried by President Trump. In fact, Trump counties would also see bigger subsidy cuts. This is a point that many Democrats have been making. In fact, here's another way to look at it, which is two examples from the New York Times Upshot. Those who stand to gain at least $2,500 in subsidies, they were split in November 47-46, Clinton over Trump. But those set to lose anywhere from $5,000 to $7,500 in federal assistance for health care, they voted 60-35, Trump over Clinton. So in other words, financially, in this plan, it's Trump folks that get hurt more than Clinton voters. Look, President Trump and Republicans in Congress were elected largely on one of the promises being to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. Trump's strongest supporters may get the repeal that they wanted, but higher costs could come as part of that deal.
What a good deal you made, people. God, you're so smart. Let's follow your lead. Let's follow your lead. Like McDowell County, West Virginia. Let's follow your lead. I think the health care plan that, the Trump care, will be replacing your health care coverage with a series of tweets. Oh, yeah. Sure, that could work. Nowhere. Ever. And don't you think Paul Ryan is a little too giddy about this? I mean, I'm watching these people just salivate at, the idea that they're going to pull a fast one on you. They are so into it. Ryan is giddy. We're going to undo an entitlement, man. It's I've never done that before. An entitlement. We're going to get rid of it. It's Ayn Rand would have been so proud of me. I could have nestled in her armpit while she smoked cigarettes and, had a heart attack or something without health care. Yeah, he's just so freaking giddy. And you got to hear what some of the Republicans are saying about you. And by you, I mean Trump voters, because you stand to lose the most with Trump care. Oh, yeah. You're going to lose Medicaid. 70 million Americans are on Medicaid, and a good chunk of them thanks to the expansion of Medicaid through the ACA, through Obamacare. So you just voted to, cut yourself off from doctors, prescription drugs, preventative care, out-of-pocket maximums, lifetime limits, no essential benefits. Oh, this is another thing they're so proud of. These healthcare plans, they're going to give you choices because we're doing away with the mandate. And so you'll be able to go and comparison shop insurance plans, really. So you could actually buy a cheap plan that you could probably see a doctor, maybe see a doctor, but God help you if they prescribe anything for you, then you're on your own. God help you if they order blood work, then you're on your own. God help you if they order a test, for an MRI or, you had a broken bone. God forbid they have to order an x-ray, then you're on your own. What a good plan. Wow. Thank you. Thank you for voting for that. It's so good. And so, Ryan was like so giddy on the weekend shows today, defending, hey, listen, we are defederalizing an entitlement. We're block granting it to the states, and we're capping its growth rate. That's never been done before. He acts like he's curing polio. In reality, he's creating a world in which things like polio and TB and cholera can actually kill you now because you won't be able to go, see a doctor. But he's really the worst. I have to play this little thing for you. This is just an amazing thing. This is from Face the Nation. Okay. Wow. I'm telling you.
How many people are going to lose coverage under this new? I can't answer that question. It's up to people.
Oh my God. Okay, let's do that again because this is just a tiny slice of heaven. Okay. This is the question. How many people are going to lose health care coverage? Well, I can't answer that question. It's up to people. It's up to people. That means it's up to you. It's up to you to go shopping, to figure out, because right now, if you buy an insurance plan on the exchange, there are essential benefits, okay? Things like surgery are covered. Hospitalization is covered. Blood work is covered. Pediatric services are covered. Maternity services are covered. Emergency room visits are covered. Prescription drug coverage is covered. Okay, you get it? So his plan, there's no essential benefits. You'll be able to go out and buy a plan that lets you see a doctor but doesn't get blood work. Lets you see a doctor but no x-rays. Lets you see a doctor but she hands you a prescription for, Prevacid or whatever. Can't fill it. It's such a good plan. And how many will lose? I don't know. It's up to the people.
People are going to lose coverage under this new. I can't answer that question. It's up to people. It's not our job to make people do something that they don't want to do. It is our job to have a system where people can get universal access to affordable coverage if they choose to do so or not.
If they choose to do. He's actually protecting you, everybody. He's protecting you from health care. Thank God for him. He's like, he's like Bane. He's protecting you from the awesome horribleness of, well-woman visits. He's protecting you, is what he is.
Offering coverage to everyone. If you're on Medicaid today, you're going to stay on Medicaid. If you're covered under an employee-sponsored plan, you're going to continue to be covered under an employee-sponsored plan. If you fall into that middle group, we're going to provide tax credits so you can go out and buy a plan.
I firmly believe that nobody will be worse off financially in the process that we're going through, understanding that they'll have choices that they can select the kind of coverage that they want for themselves and for their family, not that government forces them to buy. So there's cost that needs to come down, and we believe we're going to be able to do that through this system.
What we are trying to achieve here is bringing down the cost of care, bringing down the cost of insurance, not through government mandates and monopolies, but by having more choice and competition. And by lowering the cost of health care, you improve the access to health care.
Can I just interrupt the mashup here? How do you lower the cost of health care if everybody doesn't have to pool the risk? How does that happen? See, what's going to happen, only the very sickest people are going to end up paying so much for health care because the younger people aren't going to come in and, spread the risk. So I'm not, but I will tell you, some of the Republicans who are not in this mashup, there's this guy from Kansas. His name is Roger Marshall. Lucky you, everybody. Lucky you in Kansas to have such a representative in Representative Roger Marshall. He said this, I swear to God, quote, "Poor people don't want health care." I guess they don't want a warm place to sleep or shoes either. Poor people don't want health care. He described the poor as, quote, "a group of people that just don't want health care and will never take care of themselves." So God forbid anybody else lifts a finger so that they can take care of them. God forbid. He said the Medicaid population, which is 70 million people in this country, 70 million. It's the working poor. It's people who work for like KFC and fast food places and service industries. It's people that work part-time. It's people that work 39 hours. It's people that make minimum wage. It's people that make just above minimum wage. Okay, that's the working poor. That's the Medicaid. 70 million people fall into that category. And he said the Medicaid population is on a free credit card as a group, and they probably do the least preventative medicine and taking care of themselves and eating healthy and exercising. Wait, are you talking about the working poor, or are you talking about Chris Christie and Donald Trump? Holy crap. Okay, here's some more.
I don't plan for voting for the plan as introduced by the speaker and what went through the committees this week. Again, went through the committees. Not one single amendment was allowed to be offered. That's not how the process is supposed to work.
So you'll vote no on this plan?
I'm not for this plan, and I think there's lots of opposition to this plan in the House and the Senate.
We encourage the House and the Senate to try and make the bill better. We've laid out the things that the president needs. It must repeal as much of Obamacare as it can, given these strange and arcane Senate rules that we have to use, and it must do as much replacement as it possibly can.
The president said he wanted everyone covered, sir. The president said that.
He did.
He wants everybody to get care.
That's not what he said. The president said he wants.
Yeah, you'll get it at the emergency room is where you'll get your care.
It's everyone covered.
What people want is to get care.
We do not agree with the fundamental 3 or 4 things that Ryan has: subsidies, taxes, mandates, and insurance bailout. That's Obamacare. We don't want that.
This really has nothing to do with health care. What this has everything to do with is a massive shift of wealth from working people and middle income people to the very richest people in this country.
My hope is it's probably going to pass the House. It's going to get to the Senate.
Yep.
And that's where I hope that they will make improvements. And that's where I hope Democrats will come in and work with Republicans to bring about the improvements so we can reform the system.
The bill probably can be fixed, but it's going to take a lot of carpentry on that framework.
Carpentry, like Jesus.
As it's written today, this bill in the House of Representatives cannot pass the Senate, and I believe it would have adverse consequences for millions of Americans, and it wouldn't deliver on our promises to reduce the cost of health insurance for Americans.
Well, isn't that interesting? The Trump pansies have managed to rip apart the conservative party. Isn't that something? They have literally managed to rip apart their own party. You know, people out there, Democrats don't realize why they lost. Some don't, some do. But Republicans are just splitting right down the ass crack. Isn't that something? Yeah. So, you know, you have these Republican House members who are insulting their own constituency, who voted for the president, and are dependent upon subsidies that are available to them in Obamacare and also Medicaid, which is available by the expansion of Medicaid. You know, it's interesting. Kentucky, you don't even understand that your previous governor, who ran on repealing Obamacare, Bevins. He ran on repealing Obamacare, and once he became the governor of Kentucky, he realized, oh God, Obamacare is really good for Kentuckians. I just don't think that they like the name, so we'll change it to Connect, which is, KY, like in Kentucky, or jelly. So he changed it to Connect. And now there's this disconnect in Kentucky. You have all these people that are benefiting from the Medicaid expansion and from Obamacare, but they think it's a different thing because it's called Connect. But I want you to know that that is the ACA. There's no question about it. And the Medicaid, what Ryan's talking about is crippling Medicaid. I mean, he's obviously talking about doing away with new enrollment in Medicaid. At first he said 2020 because he doesn't want it to, happen during the midterm election. He wants it to happen during the presidential, right? And so at first he said 2020, and now idiot boy Trump is saying, oh, let's get rid of it in 2018. So it will happen in the midterm, which is a great way that Trump is going to backstab anybody who votes for the, because Trump is such a liar. You know what I mean? Like today, for instance, is the deadline for his proof to be presented, which he could get by picking up the telephone and calling the Justice Department and saying, I need a copy of the FISA warrant that was issued by Barack Obama to wiretap me, because today is the deadline for the proof. But of course, that will never happen. He will just deny that he ever said, that he'll start parsing what he said, that, oh, he didn't mean that Obama wiretapped him. He didn't, even though he said wiretap and spelled it wrong twice. Okay. And so he'll just lie. He'll just lie. This is what Trump does. Trump did say he wanted care for everybody. Trump did say coverage for everybody. Trump did say in a Trump administration, no one dies on the street. People get the health care they need. And my plan is so beautiful. My plan is so fabulous. My plan is so good. It's better health care at a lower cost. But he didn't have a plan. He didn't have one. He lied about that too. Ryan, this is Ryan's bill. And Ryan, like I said, is so giddy because he is crippling Medicaid. And he can't answer the question, how many of you will lose your health care coverage? Right now, they're out there going, yeah, you may have a card, but you can't see a doctor. Why don't you read a freaking newspaper? There are so many stories over the weekend about these rural practitioners, these rural nurse practitioners and doctors and health clinics that see thousands and thousands of patients with Medicaid cards that otherwise would never be able to see a doctor. Now, why is that? Because guys like Wilbur Ross, who's now your Commerce Secretary, stole your pension funds from your coal mining jobs. That's why you were left with nothing but Medicaid. Jeez.
Clear for takeoff. Randy Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandyRhodes.com.
Go to RandyRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.